So Monica, I'm about to graduate from my years of Alexander training, and I'll start teaching the Alexander technique. You've known me since 2004. I took my first lesson in Alexander technique July 30th of 2008. So since January 2009, I've been at the Institute training every day. So do you see any differences or any changes in me since I started studying the Alexander technique?
I do, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the biggest changes that I've seen in you has been just an overall calmness that you seem to exhibit.
Yeah.
You just seem to be more at peace. There's a new kind of serenity about you that, previous to your Alexander technique, I don't know that I would have associated you with the word serenity.
Yeah.
But but that does seem to be part of your whole persona now, and it's been really consistent. I remember noticing it once or twice, thinking he seems really calm. I wonder what's going on, and then it never really went away.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really great to witness that.
And I think that makes me easy to be around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, you do present some interesting challenges.
Yes.
Normally. However, I think that this new serenity or this new kind of calm that is so much a part of you, I think that it really does change the way people respond to you.
Yeah.
Actually.
And it leaves me more open to them as well.
Right. I can see that. Yeah.
Now, you had one lesson in the technique back in 2008. Do you remember anything from that lesson?
I do. I remember that one of the things that surprised me was the ways in which she was able to just look at me and tell me about the things that I was doing wrong, whether it was leading with my head and my neck every time I stood up, or actually making me stand in front of the mirror and showing me, how I was standing in a way that was, I guess, detrimental to everything, to the way I feel, to the way that I present myself to other people, and, ultimately probably to the way that others perceive me as well. So, that was one of the most interesting things. And just, it was just one lesson, but, just some of the tips she gave me for correcting those really bad habits that my body has gotten into over the years. Whether it's learning how to stand up without leading with my head or my neck, or how to lay, or, anything like that. It was... I wanted to keep going back. It was unfortunate that I wasn't able to at the time, but I really wanted to.
I remember I was at Shabbat lunch about a year ago with some friends, and with the Tofflers, you and I had been there for Shavuot back in 2004. Anyway, so I hadn't been to their home in a year. And at the end of the meal, so this is after I'd had almost 2 years of Alexander training, at the end of the meal, Lisa, the hostess, said, Luke, what's the matter? You haven't said anything inappropriate all meal.
Right.
Because I had eaten there probably 80 times before, and I'd often said completely inappropriate things. Particularly, she said there are 2 single women here, and yet you haven't said anything inappropriate. Because I would be triggered, and I still can get triggered. So, it's not a battle won, by any means, but I would get triggered, and Sue would get triggered by the presence of an attractive female woman. That would suddenly bring out my hyperverbal side.
Yes.
And I'd just start firing off comments and just bang, bang,
I
bang.
witnessed this.
Yeah, you
I've seen you in action.
Yeah, you've seen me in action.
I remember those days.
Yeah, and I said, well, I've been studying the Alexander technique, and I'm learning to inhibit my habitual impulses that don't serve me. And so they were all intrigued because they found me a lot easier to be around.
Yeah.
Because, I'd learned to inhibit a little bit.
Right. Well, it makes sense because it sounds like, and from what I've witnessed with your own personal transformation, is that Alexander technique helps you to be a better reader of yourself. You're much more able to understand and identify and understand what's going on inside of you, or externally, what's going on with your body or what's going on inside.
Yeah, so before, like if we were doing this interview before I'd taken any lessons, I'd be sitting like this, like the head would be forward, shoulders would be hunched. Because the way I learned to deal with anxiety and to get through life dealing with anxiety or pain was that I would compress.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, I've got to get through this. I'm in this really awkward situation, I'm in this difficult situation, I'm upset about this, this, and this. So the way I deal with it is I make myself smaller. And I think a lot of people do that. They kind of make themselves smaller to get through life, hoping that other people will hurt them less.
Yeah. It's fascinating. It's like we try to shrink ourselves to fit through these symbolically small spaces or something.
Right,
yeah.
And part of it is the fight or flight reflex, and that's where the head goes forward like this. And I see a lot of people in high stress positions, like trial attorneys, for instance, like the head juts around. You know, when you're dealing with them, they're like this, and it's off-putting to deal with someone who's got this distorted. And then often one shoulder will be higher than the other. You know, often both shoulders will be riding high. The torso will be compressed, and they're already locked into that fight or flight reflex. So when you're locked in here and you're stuck here in a version of this, you're likely to get triggered much more often than if you can let go of all that needless compression and come back to your length.
It's like when your body is in that position, it's almost, it looks as if it's primed for aggression.
It is.
You know?
Yeah. And so I remember reading about one teacher who was working with a teenage boy, and after a few lessons he said, I no longer want to beat up the kid next door. And then after a few more lessons he says, hey, if I keep doing this, will I quit football and join the band? And the teacher said, well, if what you really want to do is to quit football and join the band, that's what you'll do. And that's what he did. He eventually quit football and joined the band. But not everyone is going to take Alexander lessons and become super feminine. But you will become more tranquil, because I do notice with a lot of really hostile, aggressive people that they're locked down like this. They're ready to fight.
Right.
It's there in the body.
Right.
And I was kind of in a version of that. Like Joey, our friend Joey Kurtzman, could have seen the difference too. Like I would react much more quickly to stimuli. I just had to.
Right.
And when people are reacting quickly, it's kind of off-putting.
Right.
So, and there's no calm. And then I think it allows me to be more open to other people, so that I don't have like preset postures in my thinking, the way I relate to people.
Well, because you're more primed to think first and then act, as opposed to, if you're physically just ready to be aggressive, you're ready to act before you even